Make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from ProOneSafety.ca. Pro One Racing and Safety products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro One Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro One Racing and Safety products. Join the winners. Choose Pro One. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at ProOneSafety.ca.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. Brandon here, as always, my good friend Andrew Stirk. Andrew, how's it going tonight, bud?
Good. I'm trying to come up with ideas to crack that Pro One video at the start, to be honest with you. I keep watching it. I love it. It gets me pumped up every time I see it, but I got to figure out how to do a better job of getting my my car on there or something.
We need an updated version.
Well,
I don't know if Jay's kicking around because I'm in that a couple times. Those race cars don't look like that right now. They do. You peel some stickers off, but yeah,
true.
You can make them look that way. But
that's a little bit of work, but nonetheless,
that's it, right? Jay's got lots going on. So if you can't tell, obviously, at this point in time, tonight's episode presented by ProOneSafety.ca. Andrew and I both big supporters of that. Got the fancy hat. I would wear this much more if I had about 10 more sitting in my closet because I wreck hats all the time. Right? Go to the racetrack, all my hats, they all get faded. Well, I don't know if it's from the sun or just from sweat or being in a dirty environment. I have no idea, but they all get destroyed, and I quite like this hat. So
I have the same thing. I have the blue hat. It's currently tucked safe in the motorhome for usage in select events. That's why it's not on tonight. But yeah, same problem. If I had 10 of them, I'd wear them every day. The problem is I need 10 more every 10 days, probably. But
absolutely,
great equipment.
Great equipment, great stuff. Not just the hats that we enjoy. Got some fancy T-shirts too. They're all right. I like my Pro One shirt. I can't rack that one. It's a nice black race shirt. Lots of other Pro One stuff that we have. Actually, just placed another order for some more belts for Nick's car for the Camaro. We got some stuff going in that coming on the way. So anybody else, mid-season stuff. I know not normally are you throwing seat belts in stuff right at the moment. Not a huge demand for that. Normally you're
June expiry date though.
That's
right?
It. You never know.
They got December and June dates, so there's potentially a bunch.
That's a good call. Could be. It's loaded up. I know there's a stock order going in that Jerome's getting in a couple weeks or placing. I don't know how that all works, but if you need some stuff, you're sitting on the fence and would like it for an upcoming event or weekend, get with anybody and any of your suppliers. I know Western Canada, it's Travis Ringeth, Southern Ontario, Jonathan and Matt DeVries, Quebec, Jay Bellew, obviously, and down east, Jason McNeil, J&B Racing, so covers the Maritime. So those, great people, all four of those groups of folks there. I've dealt with all of them personally. Great folks, great product. I found my gloves. I don't know if we talked about this. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Found my race gloves. I got to wear them a few times now. Love it. Glad, very happy that I did find them. Then just get another. I think Andrew, you're looking at some more stuff.
Already bought pants, got some shoes coming. Just can't go wrong with it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wore the shoes all the time. Wore them right out, to be honest with you, over the last 3-4 years. I don't even know how long I've had them for. Just they're on the feet all the time and rolling. But great stuff. Really enjoy it. Fits great and not heavy stuff, right? I've had some suits over the years. Great suits. Just you're wearing a heavy suit on a hot day, and this stuff works real good.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you, Pro One Safety. Everybody else, give them support them. Check that out. Support those who support you. Support Canadian drag racing, and ProOneSafety.ca definitely doing that. So we'll dive in. Canadian Countdown, Andrew. We got a lot to talk about. First, start off. Not a great start to this. I'll let you take off.
Yeah. So kind of somber start to it, unfortunately, but I think something worth me to talk about. Big member of, and I want to say Eastern Canada, as we were talking about kind of before the show, kind of hitting on it. Joe Passero, Guys better known as Joe P. We lost him today. Fantastic individual, known across Ontario, Quebec, Western New York, and further than that. I mean, we could probably go, but he was a true embodiment of sportsmanship, friendship as a competitor. He'd help anyone, right? He was one of those type of people that he didn't know you and he'd still be able to help you. There was a part in his trailer or something he could do for you. It was never an issue. It's difficult to talk about because we got so many great memories with him, but he was one of those people that could show up as an alternate competitor. He could show up at any track anywhere, make a lap, didn't need time trials, didn't need qualifying, didn't matter how long it was since he last let go of the button. The guy could just show up and flat out wear you out. And if he wasn't doing that, then, his pit was kind of the social epicenter, right? Didn't matter where he was at. Everyone knew to go to Joe P's area. And whether it was beer, wine, moonshine, he always seemed to have, the best of the best in that regard. He was always willing to share with anyone who was going to stop by, right? There was, everyone was a friend. Sometimes just didn't know them yet. If you never had the privilege of meeting Joe, in some capacity you missed out, but the reality is you just need to go find a group of racers that raced with him and his wife, Mo, and they start sharing stories. You're going to have hours of entertainment, hours of laughing. And I think you quickly realize, just how much of a loss the racing world's had now that Joe is no longer with us. And I can't really summarize it any more than that per se. It was hard to hear. But the stories that I think the world has, and we shared a few today talking to people, and we were talking about him passing. He'll never be forgotten. He's one of those type individuals, and it's just not quite the same.
Absolutely, Andrew. You're like you hit the nail on the head with that. I never got a chance to really. I met Joe a few times for sure. I was a little younger when we were racing around that area. Still hear lots of stories. Obviously, big as Jamie Talbot talks about him all the time. There's always some good Mo and Joe stories from all around. So it's a good time. It's like I said, too bad I didn't get a chance to get to know him more at the racetrack. But yeah, definitely loved by a lot of folks. A lot of great memories being shared online. Right now, you look anywhere, kind of not just Canadian racing. A lot of New York area racers commenting in, sharing their memories and whatnot about Joe, and really a sad deal, right? You're absolutely right. Definitely Canadian drag racing, losing a big part of it, and definitely a legend in the sport. Absolutely. So very sad. We will definitely remember Joe Passero for a long time. A lot of folks going to talk about him, and that memory will not be forgotten. Never.
No, I still can. I could recite about, I feel like, a dozen different stories, and I never got to race him with all that much. But that's Joe if you knew him and been around him. So, yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, definitely hard, right? Hard start to the show, but that's all part of it, right? That's part of life, and that's what happens in drag racing, right? This isn't just random folks you kind of meet around, right? These people all become friends and family. A huge part of this. We all know that, right? So every loss is tough, and especially when it's close to home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sandra, we'll roll into a few results. Now, as we talked about 2 weeks ago, we were going to hit on the 660 Sportsman Nationals from TMP. Didn't get a chance to, right? We want to take our time through all the results. Obviously, we had Mark and me on and doing the Fuel Factory deal. So we'll, if you're good, we'll start going over some results there.
So kicking it off. So 660 Sportsman, first of two events this year for Drew and Vic. This was the June 14th to 16th event. Next one will be August 16th to 18th at Grand Bend. We'll talk a bit about the second race here after we get through the results in the first one. Friday, kicking it off with the box, no box combo. Kyle York making his visit to TMP memorable by taking the win over my buddy Kevin Orr in the first race. Had a pep talk with Kevin going into that race. He's a super street 99 or 1090 racer, looking to do a little bit of box or bracket racing. And I was glad to see. I don't know if my pep talk helped at all, but I'll take a little bit of credit if I can on screen. But great to see that start off. Junior warm up, was Austin Vermeulen over Connor Riddler. Their box shootout, no box shootout, and junior shootouts also took place. The high rollers on the Friday night. Rob Lang over Ian Hill in box. Chad Grow over Bradley Deeks in no box. Bradley making a name for himself in no box. He just shows up out of nowhere sometimes and just puts himself on the dance floor. I'm rather impressed, to be honest with you. Junior shootout, Jack Snell. Jack's got a very long length of 660 Sportsman National big checks. I think historically, if you go back through between this year, last year, he's certainly got a wall full of them now and doing a great job. He takes the win over Connor Riddler. Saturday, box main event, Brooklyn Noakes taking the win over Rob, having a great weekend. No box, Chad Grove continuing to turn on win lights, taking the win over Dustin Taylor. Junior main, Connor Riddler over Johanna Thompson. Box gamblers, Mike Newman, Mighty Mike, taking the win over Will Steckley. Junior gamblers, PJ Marsden over Owen Buchner. And Sunday, box main event, Dylan Hatchie over Rick Atkinson. No box, Blaze Vermeulen parking it back on the show. I can't even talk, boy. This is a problem. Parking it on the dance floor in a borrowed car and over Dustin. Dustin, I think in the last show pointed out he had, I can't remember how many rounds he had.
I want to say 29, 28.
It was a large amount.
I think that's how many laps he made.
Yeah, he made 29 laps over the 3 days. At least got to the finals there in the 2 days in a row in the main event. Great job. And PJ Marsden picking up his second win of the weekend over Carter Daniel in the Sunday finals. And that was the TMP 660 Sportsman Nationals, slightly butchered by me.
Well, that's all right. You did your best, right? You put your best foot forward with it.
We're trying. A for effort.
Absolutely. So great weekend overall. No complaints. None that I heard, for sure. Weather was great, I believe. Good turnout, a lot of fun. Those races are always a great time. Would have loved to have been able to make it, right? Life's, as everybody knows, a little different now.
What's going on?
There is a lot going on, right? Hard to get away and hard to do different things. And yeah. But, we'll make it. We'll make it out to one of these here sometime soon. Cool to see a good mix of folks in the winner's circle.
Absolutely.
Brooklyn Noakes, I do want to point out, been on a hot streak lately.
Yeah.
She's been rolling it. There was actually a few, because Brooklyn took a win, and Dylan Hatchie driving. I don't really know how the whole situation works with the car or whose car it is. The car that Dylan Hatchie was driving has been turning on a lot of win lights.
Yes.
Lately.
Jordan Crow, I believe, has been wheeling that to the winner's circle, right?
Yes. That was the connection I wanted to make is, Brooklyn and Jordan both came to the Bracker Life Winter Rumble, have both been dominating, right? Yes. Jordan picks up got a little check, I guess, for one of the gamblers. Came to the Winter Rumble, got their season started there with us, and now they're rolling, right? Brooklyn took home a Wally at the National Open. Now, box main event winner. Jordan's been wrecking everybody at St. Thomas lately. In a dragster that Dylan Hatchie then jumps in, takes it down. Dylan didn't come. We won't hold it against them, but maybe next year he will be. Last year, we had the Flying Frog, Brock Godmeyer. He came. Got a big check, went through, was rolling through all year. So,
Super Tour champion. So
I'm just saying, that maybe starting your year off with a Winter Rumble.
We're piecing together some breadcrumbs here, but I'm seeing what you're laying down, right? There's a line here, right? Do well there, and
you never know what can happen.
That's it.
Yeah, cool deal for Chad Grew taking winner's circle picture twice. Good for him. Love to see all that stuff, right? I love the locals winning big money stuff at home.
Yes,
I love when that you defend your area, right? This is your territory. This is where you race. And I feel a lot of that when we have, Super Tour races at Luskville. I want Luskville racers to win. It just is what it is. Or I want to win, obviously, or somebody from the home track, right? And that's the way it was before when I was always, at Shannonville. When Shannonville racers traveled, we went somewhere else. I wanted somebody from our group or our track to win, right? So then when you have a big race at your home spot, and then you're able to take that down and do it twice. Cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and great. And Chad's done a great job over the years. Like he's always been in the late rounds of Drew's races, and there's been some stiff competition. So great job to to him and the family there, because they've got a good winning combination there for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then to see folks like Will, like Steckley, right? Like, to be honest with you, and I've always the guy that seems to be invading other ground. So I appreciate the other side of the token where the outside, outside racer just walks in and inserts a little bit of dominance, right?
Yeah.
Good showing for Will, right? Getting to the finals and the gambler side of things. Will's a force anywhere he goes. But, like Rob Lang, same thing, right? Rob's, TMP, I imagine he would also say TMP is not really a home track for him, right? But to come in and do very well, right? In we'll say foreign ground per se, but in, other territories, right?
That's right.
Just a fantastic job. So great job to everyone. Great job, Drew and Vicky. Looking forward to the 16th, 17th, 18th. DSE sponsoring the main event on the box side. As we kind of kick it sideways a little bit, maybe just as a quick preview for that race coming up. We'll talk a bit more about some of the mid-season and events coming up at the end, or maybe we'll save it for the end. That actually might work better because
I like
we
it.
have a few events, so we'll do that. We'll preview that as we get going. Lustville Super Tour, event number 2.
Yes, sir. You and I. Yeah, that's it. You and I got to race a little bit together. Only a little bit, not a whole lot.
No.
I missed Friday's race. I was at work. Friday's Gamblers, so that was cool. And then Saturday we sat out. We just hung out with some friends, right?
Made some tours,
wet little hangout.
Watch some Norwalk qualifying, depending on what your Roku or internet capabilities were. So
yes. Absolutely. So Friday had a Gamblers race for Super Pro and Semi Pro. Super Pro, I think everybody is shocked to hear once again Phil Harvey rolls into the winner's circle. There this time over Max Goche. Maxie had a great weekend, so good for him rolling through to get to the final. Tough lap in the final round. Phil missed her a touch, but the difference, like Max going high teens, 616, doing that, and then Phil's going 460, mid 60. So I think that we figured it out. It was 35 miles an hour difference at the finish line. So tough to judge. So Maxie goes under, and then Phil gets the win. But that's all good.
Great start.
Good for him. Good start for both those guys. Semi-pro, Larry Lepin over Eric Monahan. A couple of heavy hitters there in the semi-pro category. Larry, obviously, on the bike is, pretty ridiculous.
Yes.
Lately.
Well, and that's, yes. Well, and even a couple of years I've been up hanging around Lustville in the Super Tour, right? He's always in the mix. If he's not close to parking it in the winner's circle, he seems to be in the late mix all the time. So he does very well with that, which is impressive when you look at the bike carve combo, right?
Absolutely.
It's not usually known to be as good as Mike Konopacki might argue that, and I would listen to that all day long.
That's right.
Certainly awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So good for them. We did, like I said, Saturday, put a decent attempt in, right? There was a window. There was an attempt made to dry the track. It stopped raining about 1 o'clock. By about 1:30, it kind of ruined that. Then that next rainfall kind of slowed the progress down. But the boys stayed on it, made sure the track was dry. So then overnight, it dried as well. It rained a touch in the night, I think.
Yeah.
But then Sunday, woke up, we were all good. We got to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. And plan was to roll through both races. We got it done. We started at 9. I think we were done just before 10. We ran the final, the second race just before 10 o'clock. So we start, long day through it. Super Pro winner, Brody Belfoy, takes the win over Dan Langto. Good for them. It was a great race. Brody, round four, I think it was. Let's Go Perfect. Lays it down dead 0.
Perfect lap.
Not a bad run.
In a borrowed car.
In a borrowed car.
Yeah.
That's right. So good for him. Great day. Great to see Brody. That's his second big check he picked up. He was a Bracket Bonanza winner 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago. So Brody's been rolling. Got some momentum going for sure. Versatile, right? Driving him and his dad's car at the Bonanza when he won, and then driving Troy's dragster this Sunday, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So good for him. Good to take that down. Dana Langto, obviously a dangerous racer, right? In that Corvette Roadster, so good for him. Semi, Jean-Guy Bedard takes the win there. Junior was Parker Seguin. Good for Parker. He's been rolling pretty heavy too.
Yes.
We head down to race number 2. Finished that off. Like I said, this was the final about 5 to 10. I think it was ran. Dale Gaucher over Kyle Jessup. Dale, I can't remember if it was 002 dead one or one dead. I think it was 002 dead on one in the final.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Regardless, just
doesn't matter, right? It's 3 total, right? The math is 3 total. That's all you need to worry about.
That's
so
it.
pretty tough to beat because I think Kyle was 8 total or 8. Had a 008 light.
Yeah, it was 8 up front or something, right? And just
And
already
that
ineligible.
That was it.
Yeah.
Dale had to, wax Maxi at in the door card final there. So it is what it is. Max had a bye run the round before then. Launches, car shuts off, fuel pump quit. We had a mad dash to get a fuel pump swap in there. So he could go up and let his old man show him how it's done. And then Dale finished it off. So good for him. Good to see him back in the winner's circle. It was toss up for me either way. Good for Dale. Kyle's going to get one soon. So,
well, is it two guys who?
Bit.
Well, in the final round, that was a tough one because those are 2 guys who really needed that W in the final. So it's tough when only one's going to walk away with it. But a great day for both because some of the laps they've been laying down have just been ridiculous with no win lights on their side. So what do you do?
Yeah. Trevor Tandy comments 009. So, he could have been 90. Didn't matter.
9 or 90, either way.
Didn't matter. Coach was 3 total. And he wasn't getting off it.
No,
that's it.
No, he was going third.
That thing was, you don't need to lift. He was going dead on. So.
That's true.
Semi-pro winner Daryl Jensen takes the win. Not sure who was in the final with Daryl. I had a lot going on at that point in the day. Good for DJ picking that one. And
in semi-pro, like normally we talk about a couple of characters specifically in semi-pro, and you being in the finals, and neither one. There's Mike Reynolds and I'm always
Stephen Valentine.
Stephen Valentine. So in this case, both went some rounds, but some different faces in the finals, which was interesting to see on the semi-pro side. So
absolutely. So good for them. It'll be a good mix-up in the points because I was thinking I was going to bring that up too, but Phil Harvey, right? Phil had a great Friday, and then, but that's how it is, man. You get it on heater like that, everybody's coming for you. So I think Phil had some really tough races on Sunday. I still did well. I'm not saying he was, absolutely got blown out of the water by any means, but it'll keep that points chase tight through the year. So which is exciting. Juniors, Julia Malcolm takes the win. I actually believe that Julia might have been I think it was Katie Adams was the runner-up in the first race. But yeah, I was gonna say Julia had a great weekend. Julia did really well. So good for her.
She went lots of rounds there.
Carry on.
No, I was gonna say I kept hearing her name going rounds at the various parts of the event, which is sometimes hard to tell what round it's in when you're going in circles. But certainly a great job. But yeah, you were saying she's had a great start. Absolutely.
Great start. Going to be a great threat moving forward. So good for her. I love it. It was a great weekend. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun hanging out Saturday. But the racing was pretty good on Sunday.
I openly admit this very carefully that sometimes those rain days aren't terrible when there's a solution like Sunday where 2 races are going to run. I did check out a little early on the second race due to some commitments we had to do to get home and whatnot. So I wasn't able to race in it, but to know that, both races did get in and Saturday was spent kind of just relaxing a little bit. Sometimes that can be forgotten about in this whole busy business of racing and late nights getting to tracks and early mornings getting up rolling. So
we had a lot going on though. We were working on race cars. I was selling race car parts, selling batteries, converters, dial boards, delay boxes. What else? We had a relay board we got rid of. I was scanning motorhomes. Man, Saturday.
You had a full day. Yeah, there wasn't trans-brake buttons and launches, but you had a day from start to back that was busy.
There was a lot going on. It was a good time. It was fun, and I love it. Right, that environment when you're with a lot of great people, it's hard to not have fun. And the holiday Monday also makes it a little easier.
Doesn't hurt.
No.
That's true.
No. So we have some moving forward before we get to more kind of results. We have some big news for some Canadian drag racers. So Sienna Wild Gust, we had her on last year talking about starting pro stock. So now she's ran pro stock, right? Had a few events, had a little success, not huge, right? But getting some laps,
Made some fields,
experience,
yep.
right? So she was with KB Titan Racing, switching over now in I kind of want to say a shocking fashion. I feel like not a lot of people were expecting this or ready for it. Switched over to Elite Motorsports. Now going to be working side by side with Erica Enders, which, kind of Erica calls or, Richard Freeman calls or whoever everybody wants to say, however that conversation goes. Hey, you want to come race with Erica and hang out with her? I think it's hard to say no.
I would suggest that's a difficult decision. Not so much, maybe, but that's a big move. So she'll be having, the next car she's driving will have a clutch pedal that's hooked up to a transmission that's hooked up to Elite Power. So this is certainly going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. I believe the Western Swing was advertised as the first events that she'll be behind an Elite car, letting go of the clutch pedal on it. So it'll be fun to see how the development works. They've been very close. She's had numerous events and pro stock's just been ridiculously tight. Like it's been hundredths of a second dividing top half to bottom half, and less than that sometimes dividing who's in and who's out. And Sienna's certainly been on that cusp with a few starts on the in and a few starts on the outside. So it'll be interesting. And I mean, to get into the tutelage of a 6-time world champion like Erica, and they've certainly got a development program that seems to be working well at Elite with the amount of drivers that Erica's worked with and the amount of success that many of them have had and how great they've become. So there's certainly some sort of path being drawn out over there to have a successionary program. So be fun to watch. On top of that, Elite announces just before we got in the air tonight that which is the fun live breaking news, not that it's necessarily Canadian related, but there's a lot of Canadian in the Elite camp in a lot of ways, that they're going Top Fuel Racing. Elite is with a 2-car team at some point in 2025. Once proper sponsorship or backing has been secured, and one of those seats to be occupied by Erica Enders, while still keeping her pro stock seat, if that's how it's being alluded to properly. So
absolutely
intriguing.
I read through some of the comments on there because I guess there's a rule currently that you cannot run 2 professional classes at the same time. So, okay. This rule now sounds like, based on the research I have put in, the limited research of reading through the comment section on Facebook, says that rule is going away at the end of this season. And the idea will be then, therefore, Erica can essentially double enter, and she's going to run Top Fuel and pro stock at the same time. So that's pretty cool. That's it. And I guess there was conversations Gage Herrera had put out about maybe the opportunity of hopping into a Nitro funny car at some point as well. So that is, how many races is that in a row? If Nick's watching,
11.
He'll text me. There you go. 11 consecutive wins in a row.
Yeah, 43 straight round wins
on a pro stock motorcycle.
Yes, we're
so
watching history right now, which is, I mean, in a class that's competitive too. This isn't like it's a 1-horse camp, right? There's numerous bikes over there that are very competitive, and we're watching something kind of special in some capacity here right now.
Yeah, so then that'd be a cool deal, right? Never know. Erica starts double entering. Maybe Gage Ferrera's on a bike and in a funny car. What's a crazier combination? Pro stock car and Top Fuel, or pro stock bike and a funny car?
Well, I gotta go with the bike and the funny car. I mean,
like the bike and
you
the funny
couldn't
car.
pay enough to get on a bike and let go of the clutch or any capacity. There's just no.
I don't think I want to ride it with you pulling me on a rope.
No, I'm good.
Go with 200 miles an hour.
And then jump into a fuel funny car, which is just essentially a bomb between your legs right in front of you with no shielding, which is just a different level of wild and crazy. And, I mean, most recently, look at the John Force accident as unfortunately, but that's a scary looking deal.
That's right.
So you get to fall off something at 200 mile an hour or have a bomb in your face at 330 or both.
Right? It's like
I'll take that field dragster and that pro stock car.
What's the old El Paso commercials where the little girl, right? They can't decide the hard shell or the soft shell. Why not both?
Why not
right?
both? Right?
Why not both?
If you're gonna do something crazy, you might as well do all crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So some more NHRA news, results, I guess, for that. Andrew, I'll let you roll this one.
Yeah, so going back to the NHRA at Pro Mod race at Virginia, Scotty Wildgust in round 1 qualifying had an accident with the Pro Mod car. So I imagine this likely doesn't affect the PDRA side because I believe they have a second car to run the PDRA side with. But unfortunately, that hurt the main event car, which was also the same event that Sienna announced the move over to Elite. So kind of a bittersweet race for them, but I'm sure we'll see them bounce back. The team's done a great job over the years of getting equipment back up and running when they've had a setback. So Smokey's Garage likely not out of the Pro Mod race for this year. Mike Clark at Norwalk qualified for the factory stock and had a very close round 1, very tough field for those. So some other results for them. But piggybacking on that with Norwalk, we did have a Canadian winner, and boy, it was Top Alcohol has been an interesting class the last couple of years, dragster specifically, and we've got a ton of players in Top Alcohol that have been just mixing it up from the Canadian side. But Jeff Veal taking the Top Alcohol dragster win at Norwalk over world champion Julie Natas, and kind of a wild final four. You see an international flavor coming to this one. So Jeff qualified number 7. Sean Cowie from BC coming all the way across the East Coast. Sean typically running West Coast races. We typically see him in Vegas and all the ones up and down Pomona. I want to say Sonoma if they run there. But making his way to Norwalk, and I'm not sure if that's the first, but it's the first time I remember seeing him. He qualified number 3. And don't you know it, semifinals. Jeff and Sean go head-to-head to determine who's going to be the other half of an international final as Julie Natas of Norway dispelled Hunter Green from the USA. So we had 3 different countries in the final 4 of Top Alcohol. Jeff took a 30-78 reaction time advantage over Sean, turned it into a 006 hole shot to go into the final against Julie. Julie took a swing at the track. It was very favorable conditions, great Norwalk track as always, which we'll mention later on, talking about some other news coming out with some new chemicals in the world that Norwalk was part of developing. But she goes up in smoke, and Jeff cruises to his first NHRA win since 2022. Solid day for those. He had a great interview in the final throws of the race when they were before the pro rounds, talking about just, very humbled approach, to be honest. They had struggles. They didn't do great in qualifying by the sounds of it. Made solid passes, just A to B runs, did his job on the tree clearly in the semifinals, a 30 light in anything that has a clutch, like a slipper clutch and no revs, is a great light, because 78 is not terrible by Sean, but has a great day racing. So great job to Jeff. Solid win. It was fun to cheer that on as I was driving home from Luskville. Listening, absolutely. Not watching. Listening.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dave was watching.
Dave was watching. That's correct.
Dave was watching.
Co-pilot.
Yeah, that's right. Got a comment on here. Scott's paying attention. All good. No chassis damage. If we had a spare front end, would have raced Saturday at the event. Scott, I didn't see the crash. I just saw the Drag Race Canada photo of it. And I don't know how far out on the track Scott was, but that thing is sideways. Not an ideal spot to be sitting. So
no,
if that just a little front end damage, that's not bad.
That is great to hear. That's great to hear, because it looked scary. We had it on at the. We may or may not have had it on during business hours at the shop when it took place, and there was certainly a moment stopped to make sure that everything seemed okay. But glad to hear that this isn't a big setback by any means. So we look forward to seeing the team back out. From there, we can jump down to Pittsburgh. So again, bit of a long list today, but been lots of results. It's kind of been fun last 2 weeks. Heading to the Stone Jug Championship, Keystone Raceway Park, a favorite place of mine to run. I'll let you kick it off and take it from there. Absolutely.
So this is the Stone Jug race. Michael Beard set up Staging Light Promotions deal. This is what I was planning to do in April, planning to start with. Didn't work out because of weather. This weekend, some more 2 weeks ago, June 22nd, was when this race actually happened. More favorable. Bunch of Canadians rolled down there. Dave Gunn, Top Gun. Just so we make that clear. Adds another big check to his collection. Dave's been rolling, man. He's
Yeah.
been on fire the last few years, and in the big moments, big races, doing that, picks up a $20,000 check down there. 001 to qualify on top of an even ladder.
Yep.
Right, qualifies there. I don't know if that could be a lane choice or whatever. I believe it's a lane choice situation on the ladder there.
Yep.
Comes in next round, backs up, perfect light to get to award himself the bye run the next round. Heading into the final, I want to say in the final, he's 3 dead 8 I think he's 11 total.
I think he's 8 dead 3.
Yeah,
if I remember that correctly, because 8 was his worst light in the last 3 rounds. Which great time to have your worst light. 8.
Which either way, like 003 still would have been his worst light in the last 3 rounds. But
exactly.
So yeah, either way, he's 11 total in the final.
Yeah.
Great race, good for Dave. I love it.
And does it with a hurt car. I find out like afterwards, I get some of the story, and that final round, that car was on its way to not being okay. And in kind of true meme fashion, right? Dave taps the car and says, "Thanks, get me through one more," and it does exactly that. And after that, they got winched on the trailer to be taken home with a $20,000 check in tow for it. But just awesome to see. Dave, as I said, pointed out, done a great job. And I mean, the run beside him, CJ Yeager, I mean, he's 16 dead 9 in like a 7-second car. Like it's a mid 7-second car in a box ET race, right? So I mean, that's a hard setup to do much with. And Dave certainly dialed it right, and it did everything it needed to do up to its last moments, whatever it needed to be fixed. But great to see him. Last year, I think he picked up his 5K at Quaker City.
I think he won at 42 last year as well.
He's done well there. So again, just anywhere if you see the Top Gun, trailer rolling in,
look out.
Absolutely.
Look out.
Absolutely.
I did want to throw out a neat story when I was talking to Dave after. So in the winner's circle photo, right? I obviously Bracket Life deal, right? I noticed the Bracket Life hat he's got on. I did want to thank him for this. Throw it out there. Dave was not wearing the hat before, right? I want to say just because you didn't want to wreck it, right? We talked about keeping nice hats. Saves that, runs back before the winner's circle picture, gets his Bracket Life hat and throws it on. So cool deal, right? It's always neat when you see that or hear about that, right? And people supporting our brand, supporting what we're trying to do for everybody, and we love supporting them, right? That's the whole point of Bracket Life. That's why we started this whole deal, was to celebrate it, and then the broadcast with the Canadian Countdown, right, to celebrate Canadian drag racers having success, being successful on the racetrack, and Dave Gunn, one of the ones we get to talk about a bunch.
There it is.
We appreciate that a whole lot. Continuing in some U.S. races, stateside races, the Canadians doing well at twin 5K race at ESTA Safety Park. It's just from New York. They haven't been there in a while. Used to have races, twin 10s there all the time. Been a little bit off. They came up with the twin 5s. Only got to run on Saturday. Sunday was rained out. Katie Adams goes down, takes the win in Junior Dragster. It's good for her, right?
Great job.
A bunch of other Canadians rolled down. I don't think anybody else really got too far in through the race, But at least Katie could, hold up the weight for everybody.
It's had a busy winter circle. At least she had a lot of companions there, right? Leading Team Canada there. So good for her. Great job.
Absolutely. We'll head to Nitro Motorsports Park. This is once again 2 weeks ago, June 22nd. They did lose their Sunday event, but Saturday the box class winner was Derek Patterson. Runner-up was Dave Morin. No box winner Kevin Noring over Stephen Klosky. Junior dragster Matthew Hendrick over Zach Standeven.
I'll go with that. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. Either way, there's a lot going on. These are some of the names, man. It gets you. I should read them a little bit more before.
Well, it's
practice it.
It's that Western Canada versus Eastern Canada, right? Just different backgrounds and different names, right? And
exactly,
not always geared up for it. So I give credit to track announcers everywhere. I think I've said that 1,000 times now through 60 something episodes.
Yeah. Cape Breton Dragway also got some racing in. They this race is the unfinished business race at Cape Breton. Obviously, their NHRA race that was canceled last year. So then they got to finally get that all sewed up. No Box Wally Gamblers race. Mike Ingram over Jason McNeil. Shocked at both of those names that come up. Right. The original top 30 list when it first came out, Mike Ingram, Jason McNeil, both on that, both well deserving, have backed that up many times.
Consistently.
I didn't know that Jason was a no box dude, or how much who races this. Going to the final, obviously with tough customer in Mike Ingram. So good. I'm sure that was a great final. Don't feel too bad for Jason not getting the Wally there. Box Wally Gamblers, Jason McNeil takes the win over Gavin Posibon. Once again, two names we are very familiar with. Gavin having a great year last year and this year, rolling through so far. And congratulations to Jason. Bike and sled, Wally Gamblers, Paul Metcalf over Kevin King. And junior dragster Wally, Silas Bellows over Lily Arsenault. So Silas, once again, another name we've talked about fair amount on here. Fair amount. So some great racing on Saturday. Love to see it, right? I love those dominant forces that come out for the big races, you know what I'm saying? When there's something kind of more prestigious on the line, such as a Wally.
Big moment races.
Those the big time racers come out for the big moments. You know, so love to see that. Sunday results, Super Pro Andrew Pearson over Gavin Posibon. Once again, Gavin getting to the finals. Pro Class, Noah Mugga over Mike Ingram. Sportsman, Denise Sachs over Gus Longafee. Bike sled, Damon Courtney over Rob Wadden. And junior dragster, Bryson McNeil over Lucas Campbell. So some very familiar names, few new names in there.
Yeah.
You know, great to see it, great racing. Love getting all the results. Very diehard. You know, in the Maritimes, I guess everywhere that there's racing, there's diehard stuff. I guess
that's true.
We talked about some stuff. You know, there's a few campers that are out there that just happen to have race cars. Right, it's a campground with a racetrack in it. But you know, the Maritimes definitely not that. You know, these guys love that stuff, and
looking forward to seeing when the National Open hits out there. Right, I mean, there's going to be some great racing, I think, results when we get to that point. You know, the season, and looking forward to seeing how all the characters that we know and great racers out there do in that situation. So that's going to be exciting. Kicking it to TMP this past weekend, the Canadian Nitro Nationals. So one of the two big events out this way as far as the pro level show side of it. Shauna Woodstra taking the win in the Outlaw Fast 16 over Paul Cool. They had 15 cars show up for the race. Some really fast racing. There was stuff as fast as 380s. I think it was Michael Kalin from Western New York on the pole, 380 to at least the slow stuff was in the 440s, right? Low 450s.
Yeah, because the minimum dial-in for dragster was 450, right?
450, yeah. So just awesome show. Watched it in between raindrops in Luskville and also listened to it on the drive home, just to be clear on that. Chase Santos ran Pro Mod. They had, I believe it was 13 Pro Mods show up, a good mix. One of the better shows in the sense of the amount of cars that came. Jay ran what I'm taking at face value, but I have no reason to believe otherwise. The fastest 8th mile pass in Canada, going 363 at 215. Now, I realize here we've got Scotty Wildgust tuning in, and I'm assuming there may be some other pro modified aficionados following it there. Maybe they can chime in on that, but I'm rolling with that based on it. An impressive run, nonetheless. That is a quick pass.
It's hard to beat because I know Spencer's been 60s.
Yes,
but I don't think a low 60.
Like I was stretching to find that info because I know he's been in the 60s with his car at Grand Bend. I want to suggest, but
he's been a 60 at Naperville as well.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. It's Naperville. You're right. Yeah, there was a fast. I think he was first in the 60s at the Bend, but he's reset that probably in Naperville. So anyway, a fantastic pass. Kudos to the crew at TNP. They had a heck of a weekend weather-wise, as a lot of Canada did apparently. And they put a great track together. Peyton Top Fuel Cars made some incredible passes. I believe they went 492 at 304 in the night session. I'm not sure if it was Chatterson or Peyton who ran it. Regardless, it was a full pull or as close to a full pull as you could possibly make, which was kind of cool, being that was quarter mile and not 1,000 foot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
kudos to them. And just a great show. Great to see the fans. Certainly Saturday was a complete washout at Cayuga, as a lot of places saw, unfortunately, around Ontario. But, the fans showed up. Yeah, if it wasn't raining Saturday, I don't think you were on planet Earth is what I took from that. But regardless, great show. Good job to TMP. Great job to the staff there making that track work, for everyone who put in the effort there, and for the show teams that showed up. Great job for everyone there. Grand Bend also ran Canada Day. There's a lot of racing on Canada Day. It was one of those busy weekends. Will Steckley, need not say more, taking the win, Mod ET. Elizabeth Quinzel took the Canadian holiday and took some Canadian money back to America with her in the Tommy's Motors Top ET win. Luke Schwemmler taking the Extreme 32 win. Roy Portis, remember the name. We're going to come back to it a couple times here, but picking up the win in bike sled. If we remember back, we talked a little bit about it. This was his return season to racing after being off for a little while. Certainly has not shown any rust in that. Greg Roy picking up the Sportsman win. Greg running two cars for a little bit. He's got a Street ET type car, runs in Sportsman, the Top ET car as well. Great to see Greg out with a W. Sydney Freitas with the Junior Advanced win. Russ Wood taking the Open Comp win. And neat deal. They have this charity race that they run at Grand Bend almost typically on the Canada Day weekend. Kids Country Club charity race. Essentially, it's a pro tree style bracket race. The key part to it is that it's a fundraiser for the Kids Country Club, which is, I believe, a special needs type camp that has been run for kids with special needs. It's always a great fundraiser. It always does well as far as attendance. Tyler Donahue picking up the W in that with a double 08 right in the final. ONDR, Bill Nolan taking up the Nostalgia Comp win. James Kovacs, who is, to be Toronto, I'll side story on this. James is one of those guys who runs with no electronics. And by no electronics, I mean he shifts the car by sound. There's a right tone to when that car needs to go into high gear, and he hits it. But always a tough competitor in no box. He takes the win in Nostalgia Gas. Steve Klein winning in Nostalgia Hot Rod. And I guess I need to add on to this. The Grand Bend has taken it upon to themselves to the end of Saturday to run kind of some specialty racing, golf cart being the specialty race, theme stuff. 63 car golf cart race on Saturday night with a theme of 80s, 90s. I think it was rock. There were some interesting videos. If you hit up Facebook and hit to the Grand Bend or anyone else, you will see some great theme stuff, kind of a neat add-on to the racing side of things once the racing's done. Race hard, party hard type of mentality. So kudos to them. Sunday, Mod ET, Mitch Dilling taking the win over Ryan Alford. Tommy's Motors Top ET, Harry Goosens, taking the win over Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight turning it back around from defeat to victory. Extreme 32 taking the win over Matt Costable. Matt has been in a bunch of finals this year, has come close a few times. We'll get that W here shortly. Has a couple super gas wins, so I guess that's not really terrible by any means.
That's right. I was gonna say, and he's done it in multiple classes too. So
yeah,
he's been trying some new stuff.
Yeah, if we just keep throwing stuff, we're going to eventually get there. And he is literally running every class he can. So great job for Matt, Mr. 50K from Galat last year. Roy Portis. Remember Roy's name? Well, Roy picks up what I believe is his third straight win in the bike sled program. Second at this point. Sorry, I foreshadowed that one. Second win. There is a third win in the Monday program. So Roy obviously not showing any rust here, just continuing a level of dominance. It's pretty awesome. Sportsman, Greg Roy, second day in a row, talking about putting stuff in streaks. Great job for Greg. Open Comp, Joe De Silva, going up to test and decides to enter Open Comp and takes home a W over Paul Alexander. Riley Snyder with his first win ever, by the sounds of it, in Junior Dragster over Neva Gomes. Congratulations. Junior Constellation, Sydney Freitas. And then Sunday, bracket, big bonanza race for Grand Bend. They ran for 2,500 in a combo. John Pizzo taking the win over Rob Alexander. And Paige Roy with the win over Neva Gomes. Levi Dill winning the consolation race. And as I stated, Roy Portis taking up the W bike and sled program over Ralph Hindebrandt. Great weekend. Grand Bend got a little bit luckier than the rest of us. They got some windows to run, and they battled the cold. They battled the rain. They got their full racing program in with a late start on the Saturday. And I don't know if it's a late start on the Sunday, but then another start on the Monday. So great job to them. From there, we'll kick it to the generic news, which was just kind of cool in general, because I think this has implications for, racing all over the place, as you pointed out here on some of the notes. But in Canada, WDRA with an interesting announcement that jumped across a couple different associations and borders and everything else. So why don't you lead us into that one?
So for this, what Andrew is referencing is the new Summit Racing Traction Compound. So I haven't really looked a whole lot at this yet. Andrew, I'm sure you're more well-versed in this and that.
I've read it.
You're taking the time a little bit more for it. But
Yep.
in an interesting conversation to now have after last year's kind of traction compound scare.
Yep.
Where it all we were terrified that it was going away, or that we couldn't get some, or we couldn't, get our hands on it on the VHT PH1.
Well,
right?
the special
PJ1, the PJ1.
PJ1. Well, and all of them.
And
The special spice in the traction compound. There's a chemical in general that most of the major companies use that is, the secret ingredient to some extent, and it was getting hard to come by or impossible depending on who you talk to. And so some different blending started taking place, and some compounds that had been great had become not questionable, but just not as good as they needed to be, maybe, or were, and others that were struggling. And so out of the wake of this, Summit, in conjunction with the WDRA, with testing at Norwalk, which an HRA facility, as we clearly just talked about earlier, and there was a couple other characters in this one. I'm just trying to remember. So is this Kurt Johnson? I think was also involved in this. So that would be,
I believe so.
TVC, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So they all started working on a new compound that is being advertised under the Summit Racing Equipment banner. So you can essentially buy it through Summit, but WDRA being the one that's kind of helped launching it. I've come together with a new compound, and they did some blind testing, which I read a little bit on how they performed it, but essentially they did it at Norwalk, where it was a testing where it wasn't really sure, blind double sample. You've heard about all these things on the late night sales pitches and different things where it's not being known was put down, and then they take the data and go back and then reveal that which day was using the, brand X and which day was using the Summit racing compound, and found that the Summit compound generally performed better, had a faster average ET from what's on the ground compared to brand X, whatever brand X was. And from that data, believe they had something they could work with. So from there, team up with Summit and the WDRA to help keep our being. And I believe Chuck Fram chimed in. I'm just trying to read notes as I go. Hurts the brain on this, as with Bill Bader. So, Kurt Johnson and Bill Bader being the brainchilds on this stuff certainly have a lot of hedons on this, right? Like this will be something that's been worked through. So yeah, this is now available through the WDRA, but Summit in general, I don't think you have to be WDRA. It's just they're helping promote it. The 54-gallon drums, no minimum purchase requirements, no long-term contracts. So kind of an interesting move that for smaller tracks that need different requirements, heck, even bigger tracks, right? There's a better price point. Be interested to see how this works and how this helps racing in general. But I know in Canada, where we're working behind a 40% exchange rate difference. So any dollars saved, any minimums that aren't necessarily required will certainly make it interesting. Be interested to talk to a few when we see some put down.
Absolutely. Especially with have a competition that's worth competing with. Now, I guess at this point, from my understanding, in the last few years, traction compound has really been the best is here, and then second is kind of there. There wasn't anybody else that was right here. So now, and I'm not saying this is. I haven't tried it. I haven't heard enough about it. I can't see it being a garbage product by any means. That's definitely not what's going to come across here or come out of that group. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the competition goes, right? Because some competition's pretty good, healthy competition in industry.
Yep, exactly. And to be, as I said, more product that helps the industry in general. And I say this in a generalized sense, not just the Canadian side, but the Canadian side we need all the help we can get to keep this industry viable from a business standpoint for the operators, is not a bad thing, right? And as we've seen, traction prep equipment, different companies that have created solutions. We've seen, a Luskville between the new scraper we've got, which is scrapers we've seen at other tracks like Shannonville pop up to help aid with prep, right? To make better surfaces for us to run on, more consistent surfaces, better in general. It only helps the whole industry, right, here. So excited to see how this pans out. We'll keep tabs on it as it goes, because it looks like there's at least one Canadian track already testing it, and we'll see where that goes. So from there, that's kind of the really long. That was an hour-ish Canadian countdown, but I mean,
that's what I was going to say. It's pretty much the whole show. Well, as the whole show was the Canadian countdown, right? Just talking about Canadian racing, Canadian racers. It's great to do that. We don't always get a chance to spend that much time on the results and on the people and the racers that are involved. Stories. So need to be able to take the time and really do that. Mainly because we didn't really have anything worth talking about that you and I did on the racetrack. So it was good. Good to talk about somebody else doing well. Not that we're great all the time, but usually at least we have something exciting to talk about. But
fun to share the stories of the rest of the world, though, right? That's the point.
That's how it goes. So a lot of stuff coming up. That's about it for tonight. Yeah. But looking through, I just went, just while you were talking, we had mentioned a few other big races coming up. But for July, these are just some highlights. This isn't all the races, right? Don't get upset with me. Quick, Mark Bedard, I missed the beginning of the broadcast. Any news from SIR? Saskatchewan is racing anytime now.
I think they've already had their first event with the new track. We'll probably do his next episode. Might be worth, we'll reach out and see if we can get someone on from the track, get us some feedback, because it was certainly a big improvement. They did a lot of work on that surface, and they've been up and running. I believe they had an opening weekend a week or two ago with it, if I remember seeing the results right.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Freak, we missed it. All right, quick. We got results from SIR. Good call.
Perfect.
Mark Bedard's got it. Opening weekend, smooth track. Timing system was on, ready to go. Gamblers race Saturday. Did some testing. Open. Dylan Yermeko takes the win. No box. Isaac Stetner. Yeah, Isaac Stetner. That's what I'm going with. I'll pick that. Sunday, we got into our first race. In Super Pro win, Jason Howdle over Kelly Morrison. Pro Richard Harder takes the win over Ryan Appleby or Appleby. Either way, I'll call him Appleby. That's how it goes. Sportsman Amanda Flamen over Keith Desjarlais. You guys are killing me, man.
It's
Street Legal Evan Stephenson over Dave Leverton, and Junior Street Legal Maya Jax over Marley Breeze. So good for them. Good call.
Excellent.
Mark's on that, right? I appreciate it. That's the great part, right? Doing stuff live's hard sometimes, but great when it works out that way, and we get to make sure we got that. Like I was saying, upcoming events, lots of stuff coming on. I'll throw out, a little soft little plug here, right? Obviously, the Bracket Bonanza coming up, Drag Week happening, the end of July, long weekend of August. The 5-day Bracket Points Championship is Bracket Series Points Championship, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Coming back, Kyle and myself, once again doing the points series for the 5 main event races at the Dave Rennie Auto Care Little Bracket and the Bracket Bonanza. So that is for all classes. Everybody, enter whatever you want. $50 entry fee. Sign that up. All your round wins from Saturday, Sunday of the Little Bracket, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the Bracket Bonanza count towards your point total. Doesn't matter. Semi-pro, super pro. You can enter if you're in junior. Win lights count towards your point total, and
nice.
Yeah. Big win.
Been a good time. It's been some fun championships. I know there's been some tough Sunday tallies on that final Sunday.
Tight racing, right?
Oh,
exactly.
Has it been? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been good. So that'll be great. We have more details. The flyer coming out on that here soon. We are working on it. 660 Sportsman Nationals, Grand Bend Motorplex. What's the
Yep.
date on that, Andrew?
August 16th, 17th, 18th, I believe.
He's on it. So that's a little later, right? I was talking about July, but that's all right. NHRA National Open at Naperville, 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks, three?
July 2021st, I believe.
Yeah.
For 18, 19, 20, 21, something like that.
So that should be
3-day deal.
huge.
Yes.
Should be pretty big for the first National Open in April of the year.
Yep.
Top E Big Bucks race this weekend. Maritime Madness coming in at Greenfield Dragway. Rocky Mountain National is also happening at Rad Torque Raceway. Shannonville Motorsports Park, Shannonville Drags. High Roller Weekend. Chuck just threw his comment in there too. $2,000 both days, pro and super pro to win. July 20th weekend. Pit Party live band. Load that up. Load that up.
Right.
So yeah. So nice. I always think like July's, I'm like, what are we gonna do in July? Said Rage. Where are we going? Oh well, there's a boatload of stuff to do. Look around.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Pay attention.
Across Canada, just jump in the motorhome and
hit the
direction. Right?
Make a choice. It's not that hard. Just make a choice. Go one way. Go the other way. As long as you don't go north. Right? There's not a whole lot of stuff north. But
north goes west and east too, right? So
it does. That's absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's what's some bigger events going on, right? Lots of local stuff happening. Lots of other events that I missed, right? If I look here, I got at least 30 events on the Canadian Masters schedule on the Bracket Life brand website. Check that out. You're curious what else is happening. BracketLifeBrand.com, Canadian Drag Racing Masters schedule. I think that's it. Mark Bedard says we got a top fuel car at Naperville for the National Open. So
qualifying a big show top fuel car, it's Mercier, I believe.
There you
go. He had the semifinal a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago. So
yeah, that's it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, lots going on. That's about it for Wednesday night, not Tuesday. We made that work. Cody Newman, nothing up north other than Terrace Bay, I think. Cody, I think 2025, right? Chapelot's back. North Racing or drag racing coming back to the northern Ontario. It's going to be big.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. We'll talk about it when it all happens. Thank you guys everybody for tuning in, paying attention, interacting with us, right? We love it. We missed some stuff in there. That's everybody's keeping us honest.
This is the fun part about the live show, right?
We do quite enjoy that.
In front of a live studio audience.
Absolutely. So we will talk to you all 2 weeks. Minus a day because we should be back on Tuesday again for our next episode. We'll hopefully get to do some racing. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, go check that out. YouTube, obviously, Bracket Life Brand. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Love when you do it. It helps us out a bunch. Helps us get recognized a little more. So,
yes.
Spreads
check
all
out the live
stuff.
vlogs.
Yes, absolutely.
Check out the vlogs. Sorry.
The vlogs.
Just used to say live at this point.
That's it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. We're all good. So thank you to everybody for paying attention. Thank you, Pro1Safety.ca. We would like to, kind of leave this one, in silence for a minute or for a few seconds there. Remember the great life and the great man that was Joe Passero. May he rest in peace. And, everybody who did get a chance to know Joe, hang out with him, share those great stories, right? Talk about it. Share what a great man, what a great influence he was on Canadian drag racing and drag racing in general. Keep that memory alive as it is. So thank you guys. Thank you, Andrew. And we'll talk to you all in a couple weeks.
See you then.
Make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from Pro1Safety.ca. Pro1 Racing and Safety Products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro1 Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro1 Racing and Safety Products. Join the winners. Choose Pro1. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at Pro1Safety.ca.